The 2022 edition of the 100 is here, and the man who has it all in white ball cricket at the moment is Mr. Jos Buttler. He's the IPL Superstar of the Year, he's the England white ball captain, and now he's going to be leading the Manchester Originals to what he hopes will be a glorious campaign. We're going to be previewing their squad here, so stick with us. Welcome to the 100 Club. My name is Tom, and I'm joined again by Rich. And we've got another quick squad preview for the men's tournament. This time it is the Manchester Originals. And, if you're new here, that's great. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to see some more of this stuff, hit the subscribe button down below. And if you like what we're doing, then hit the like button. That would be much appreciated, because we're here all summer. And Rich, it's another squad preview. And this time it's the Manchester Originals. What do you think of their setup as it looks at the moment?
Well, I think they're going to benefit from the availability of Jos Buttler, as you said in the intro. We know that the England Test squad is relatively settled at the minute, and Jos Buttler is not in it. So it looks like he's going to be available for all 8 of the group games, and the Originals will be hoping the eliminators as well. And if he shows the form he did in the IPL earlier this season, there's every chance they'll be in those eliminators.
Yep, but a team is not one man. But without further ado, let's see who else he's got helping him. So Jos Buttler, straight up the top there for you. This is your squad as you've given it to me. Opening the batting. Is that the best use for Jos Buttler, do you think?
Yes. Where do you think he should bat?
Well, I don't know. I might have him at 3.
At number 6. Number 3.
Yeah. I thought that might be an option, because I might want Laurie Evans and Phil Salt opening up.
I suppose it's an interesting idea, isn't it, that you could have the kind of the uber pinch hitter in the 100. You send somebody out with the intention of not using up any balls at all, and say just swing from ball 1, and it doesn't matter if you get out, and then allow one of your sort of stroke makers to come in afterwards. I don't think they'll do that. I think Buttler, he opens in this format, and I think he'll open for the Originals. Whether Salt bats at 3 and Laurie Evans opens, yeah, potentially there, because Salt's been doing that role for England this week in the ODIs. But I think Butler's definitely one of the opening slots.
Well, hear me out a little bit, perhaps. One last chance. In that, whilst Jos Buttler has scored 863 enormous runs in the IPL in 2022, he hasn't scored much in England this year. And so if the conditions are such that he's struggling in that, and you want someone just to go and knock a bit of the lacquer off the ball, maybe 3 might be the answer.
You want Laurie Evans to go in and see off the new ball.
Yeah,
leave it.
Essentially.
It's interesting one. I mean, they're coached by Simon Katic, very experienced short format coach, perhaps not particularly well known for being innovative. Is that fair to say? I mean, quite conservative coach. I think he's probably going to put his best player at the top of the order.
Well, if you want to hear a little bit more from Simon Katic on his thoughts of the 100, of course, you can check out our podcast. We put everything out on YouTube, but we also put it out on podcast providers. And last year, Ollie from the 100 Club had a chance to chat to Simon about the 100. And if you want to catch that, then you can find it via your normal podcast provider using the links that you'd like to do so. But back to the matter at hand.
And the link below, presumably, as well, Tom.
I'll probably dig it out.
Excellent interview. Then Laurie Evans is an exciting one. I mean, he's moved up from the Oval Invincibles, but and we're missing the star attraction, of course. It's the guy I've got coming in number 3, one of our favourite breakout players over the last 18 months, Wanindu Hasaranga.
Yeah, if you want to talk about a player who had a fantastic IPL, it's not just Jos Buttler in this squad. What about Hasaranga? He's outshone perhaps even the legendary Rashid Khan with 26 wickets. That was the number 2 wicket taker overall in the tournament. So can he do the same thing on what is a traditionally spin-friendly pitch at Old Trafford?
Yeah. Can he do the same thing against ostensibly worse players? Yes, probably can. Well, it depends how he adapts to the condition. I mean, one thing we said last year is that we didn't want the 100. We wanted the 100 to be really representative of world cricket and not just sort of the usual assortment of journeyman Australians and South Africans. So
more of them later.
We'll talk about who's coming at number 8. But so when we saw the likes of Hasaranga burst onto the scene at the World Cup last year, at least from our perspective, I mean, obviously, people who are more au fait with Sri Lankan cricket will have known about him for a lot longer. But when he burst onto the scene at the World Cup last year, we thought that's the kind of player we want to see in the 100. So delighted that he's been drafted by the Originals, and can't wait to see how he gets on.
Genuinely excited. Probably a bit of a bargain being picked up at 100k. Well, we'll see. And you've got him at 3. Why do you think he's batting at 3?
I just like the idea of up the order, taking advantage of seeing more of the strike, seeing more of the balls. He's obviously bats up for Sri Lanka relatively high. Where was he batting in the last series against Australia? He was coming in at.
I don't think he was
9.
as high as 3. I was going to say, I had him at 9 myself. We'll give you a pass there. Don't worry.
I think I was being out thinking myself there by whacking him up the order. I don't know. He's a big hitter. I think he could do all right.
He'll be delighted, I'm sure. And as we say with most of these squads, actually, a lot of the cases, the batting order will not be as fixed as it might be in other formats. And so another case there might be another big name in Andre Russell coming in. You say 5, but it could be at any point as appropriate to get the best use out of his power hitting, right?
Yeah, I think that's an emerging theme. We'll see it in the 100 this year. In that, and we had that conversation when we talked to the Phoenix analyst Dan Weston before last year's tournament. Teams are going to think in terms of number of balls left rather than wickets down. So I think somebody like Dre Russ, big hitter, you really want him coming in around the 70 ball mark. So if they're 1 wicket down, because Buttler and Salt have had a fantastic opening partnership, you might see Dre Russ going in at number 3. Or if they're 4 wickets down, maybe he'll come in at number 6 in that situation. I think it'll be much more situational dependent rather than the number of wickets on the scoreboard, as it's traditionally been in cricket.
Yeah. Okay. So for the rest of the lineup, they've got a couple of all-rounders, probably in Lammonby and Overton, and then a bowling lineup that, frankly, for me, looks under par. But what do you think?
I mean, as often, it depends a little bit on how much Dre Russ bowls. He's bowled less in recent years. He has had injury issues. Whether he intends to play as a specialist batter or not, I'm not sure exactly. But if he can bowl, then that brings a little bit more balance to the side. I think Richard Gleeson's really impressed this year in the T20 Blast, getting into the England T20 side. Obviously, he had that fantastic debut where he got where he dismissed Kohli.
But
I think
Sharma
that
and the rest.
Kohli, exactly. 3 wickets in that debut. But aside from that, yes. I mean, Jamie Overton from the Test side, Tom Hartley, very experienced. Matt Parkinson perhaps disappointed people a little bit. It hasn't quite kicked on in the way other people who thought he would. But I think it's a fair point, Tom. Maybe the bowling's not quite as strong as other teams in the tournament.
Yeah, and for me, I didn't even know if I could justify picking Sean Abbott. And actually, when I put it down, I didn't even have Ashton Turner getting in there as well. So I might have taken someone like Colin Ackerman, who clearly qualifies as domestic, because he's had, or at least he's coming into form, another batting option then. And then you've got enough there with Hasaranga, maybe Russell bowling a bit. Lammonby, I think, is a decent bowler. Maybe just compensating a little bit for the bowling, maybe by having a little bit more batting length. I don't know about that. Who else do you like from the bench?
Yeah, it's one of those interesting ones, actually. Some teams have a very, it's quite easy to pick out starting 11, then an obvious set of subs. I think Originals, there's that top 5 who almost pick themselves. And then beyond that, the rest of the squad are almost quite interchangeable. I looked down that list, as you said, Ackerman, Calvin Harrison, the spinner, played quite a bit last year. Fred Clarkson played a few games, very experienced T20 bowler for Kent. Wade Madsen is a very solid all-rounder as well. You got Ashton Turner, the Australian, as the additional overseas. I don't think Ollie Robinson will feature too much because of injuries. But all of those guys, I think you could see playing a handful of games. So I think maybe the Originals will chop and change quite a bit as they go through the tournament, depending on the situation they find themselves in.
Yeah, I think it's a squad for me that, as you say, has plenty of options, but not necessarily the quality all the way through. So for me, I'm not sure that they're semi-finalist contenders, though. Would you disagree?
I think it comes down to Buttler. I think if Buttler has a great tournament, they're in with a chance. I think if Buttler continues his recent form, which has been a bit mixed, I think they'll struggle.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got plenty to look forward to with them. I am personally going down to see the originals actually on the 13th of August, which is their game at home against the Trent Rockets. So looking forward to seeing them at home. Any final thoughts on the originals, Rich?
No, looking good.
Well, keep yourself fresh then, because we've got a few more previews to go. And if you're enjoying this stuff, then hit the subscribe button, as I say, and you'll be sure to be notified whenever we do a new video. Rich, I'll catch you next time on the 100 Club.
Cheers, Tom.